Fires erupt along Russia's Druzhba oil pipeline. Ukraine strikes again, halting crude to Hungary for the third time. Naval drones detonate, Russian divers die, and Kyiv warns Moscow. Language ultimatums won't bend Ukraine. Across Europe, propaganda campaigns claim, "Russia is not my enemy." Energy, war, and influence collide in a conflict that stretches from pipelines to propaganda. The question, who controls the narrative and the next strike? Ukraine has escalated its campaign against Russia's energy and military infrastructure, striking key facilities on multiple fronts. According to Robert Brovdy, commander of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces, drones from his 14th Regiment targeted the Untitled pumping station in Russia's Bryansk region. The facility, part of the Druzhba oil pipeline, is Russia's largest hub and a vital link in its 9,000-kilometer network. Footage released by Brovdy showed a fire at the site following the attack. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó reacted swiftly on Facebook, noting that crude oil supplies to Hungary had been halted for the third time in recent weeks. He described it as another blow to Hungary's energy security and warned of attempts to draw the country deeper into the conflict.
During the night, we received the news that the Friendship oil pipeline at the Russian-Belarus border was repeatedly attacked for the third time in a short period of time. Crude oil transportation to Hungary has been stopped again. This is another attack on our country's energy security. Another attempt to drag us into war. This ain't gonna work. We will continue to support the efforts towards peace and protect our national interest with all our strength.
Ukraine's General Staff reported that strikes on Russian energy assets this year have inflicted estimated losses of over $74 billion, with nearly 80% of confirmed targets being oil and gas facilities. In Crimea, Ukraine's Navy announced the destruction of 3 Iranian-made Mohajer-6 drones and 2 Russian four-post drones at the Chersonese airfield near Sevastopol. The Navy said these aircraft were used by Russia to monitor Black Sea activity. Separately, Ukraine's military intelligence reported that a naval drone detonated in Novorossiysk Bay after losing central control, killing 5 Russian naval divers who were attempting to recover it.
While handling a Ukrainian naval drone, it detonated. The explosion resulted in the elimination of all 5 elite Russian underwater saboteurs. On August the 20th, Ukraine's intelligence struck a Russian patrol boat in the Black Sea near the occupied town of Zalizny Port in Kherson Oblast, killing 5 crew members.
Novorossiysk has become a key base for Russia's Black Sea fleet since Moscow moved ships away from Crimea under sustained Ukrainian strikes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has dismissed fresh claims from Moscow that Russian-speaking Ukrainians face discrimination, suggesting that such statements are intended to delay peace negotiations. Speaking to journalists in Kyiv, Zelensky underlined that Ukraine already has a state language, Ukrainian, and made clear that adopting Russian as a second official language is not on the table.
Ukrainians already have a state language, Ukrainian, and would not adopt Russian as a second official language. Russia can say whatever it wants. I believe these demands are purely meant to impose ultimatums and complicate the negotiation process.
Zelensky's remarks followed comments from Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who told state media that Ukraine had imposed a total ban on Russian. That assertion runs counter to Ukrainian law. Since 2019, legislation introduced under former President Petro Poroshenko has required Ukrainian in government, education, media, and customer service, while still allowing the use of minority languages in private life and cultural settings. According to the Ukrainian government, the law is aimed at protecting the national language after centuries of Russification under the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union. Surveys show that most Ukrainians now speak Ukrainian at home, while many others use both Ukrainian and Russian. Analysts note that the full-scale invasion in 2022 accelerated the shift toward Ukrainian. The Kremlin has long invoked the notion of a persecuted Russian-speaking population as justification for its territorial claims. In propaganda, entire regions such as Odessa and Kharkiv are portrayed as inherently Russian, a view not reflected on the ground. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Zelensky had said no to all of US President Donald Trump's proposals for resolving the conflict in Ukraine, which the US considers necessary.
President Trump suggested after Anchorage several points which we share, and on some of them, we agreed to show some flexibility. When President Trump brought those issues to the meeting in Washington, with Zelensky present together with his European sponsors, he clearly indicated that there are several principles which Washington believes must be accepted, including no NATO membership, including the discussion of territorial issues. And Zelensky said no to everything. He even said no to, as I said, to canceling legislation prohibiting the Russian language. How can we meet with a person who is pretending to be a leader?
Lavrov added that at the Alaska summit, Russia agreed to demonstrate flexibility on a number of issues raised by US President Donald Trump. A new propaganda campaign attributed to Moscow has surfaced in several European cities under the slogan, "Russia is not my enemy." Stickers carrying the message have been spotted in Romania, France, and Italy. According to the Center for Countering Disinformation under Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, the effort is part of what it described as a hybrid influence campaign designed to present Russia as a partner, while concealing its responsibility for the war in Ukraine. The agency said that the campaign is aimed at fostering the illusion of peaceful intentions, minimizing Russian actions in Ukraine, and deepening divisions within European societies.
Russia has launched the propaganda campaign, "Russia is not my enemy," which has reached Romania. Stickers with this message are appearing in cities as part of the Kremlin's hybrid campaign, aimed at creating the illusion of a peaceful partnership. Through such tools of influence, Russia seeks to portray itself as a peacemaker, downplay its own crimes, and sow discord within European societies.
Ukrainian authorities argue that such tactics reflect a broader strategy to erode confidence in European democratic institutions, weaken support for Ukraine, and call into question the continent's alignment with NATO and the European Union. The Center for Countering Disinformation also linked this messaging to Russia's wider pattern of hybrid activities across the European Union. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion in 2022, Moscow has been accused of stepping up disinformation operations, cyber attacks, and other forms of covert pressure targeting critical infrastructure and public opinion. By portraying itself as a misunderstood neighbor, Kyiv says Russia is attempting to shift the narrative abroad while continuing military aggression at home.